Welcome back to another CTTV NBA podcast. I'm Hunter Strand.
And I'm John. All right. So there's been a lot of movement this year when it comes to like the playoffs and what teams are where in the standings. So who do you think is going to maybe drop into the playoffs, or who's going to drop out, or who's going to move up or down, or what's the biggest shift that you see happening like compared to right now?
So for my Western Conference, I think the Warriors really move up. I mean, I think Steph Curry can carry them all the way into the playoffs. I think they can move up a lot. And for my Eastern team, man, I think I have Charlotte moving up. Honestly, they've been looking good recently, even though they lost the Melo Ball. I think they can move up from the 8 seed up to like a 6.
Right.
That's all I have.
I think for me, I would have chosen the Nuggets for sure if Jamal Murray was healthy. I feel like the Nuggets, if Jamal Murray didn't get injured, would have maybe taken a top 3 seed. And I think that would have also solidified Nikola Jokic being the MVP. But he is injured. And because of that, I see them maybe dropping down a little bit more. I think the team that I can see moving up, I can see Portland moving up a few spots for sure. I can see Portland moving up there. But as far as like the Eastern Conference goes, I think with the new addition that the Boston Celtics got at the trade deadline with Evan Fournier, he gives them an extra scorer outside of just Brown and Tatum, which is what they really struggled with. They didn't really have that third source of scoring. And so bringing him in was huge for them. I can see them going up to like the 5 seed.
Also, for my Eastern, I could see Miami moving up. I was watching them today. They look way better. They got, what's his name, Victor Oladipo in the trade deadline. I can see them actually moving up to a top 4 seed. They're sitting at the number 7 seed right now.
Yeah, for sure. They can move up. All right, so this trade deadline was huge. There were like, how many trades were there? How many
I
players?
think it was like 30 something. Like it was the biggest almost ever, I think.
Wow, that was a big one. So who made the biggest move at the trade deadline in your opinion?
Oh gosh. There was so many, but I think honestly, I think it's the Heat. Like when they got Victor Oladipo, and now they got Tyler Hero, you got Jimmy Butler, you got Bam Adebayo, and then you got Victor Oladipo. And they were really struggling. They were like 8, 9, 10 seed all year. So I think they really won that trade deadline.
Yeah, that was huge, especially considering that, they went to the NBA Finals last year, and now you add a guy in Victor Oladipo who can help spread the floor, add some extra scoring in there. That was a big move for them. But I think for me, once again, had Jamal Murray been healthy, it would have been Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets because I feel like that trade would have made them a contender. But Jamal Murray's injured for the rest of the year. And so I think the move that I said earlier in the other standings about Evan Fournier getting traded to the Celtics, I think that changes a lot for that team because they were missing that extra scorer that Evan Fournier brings to the table. That was really their only struggle they had at the beginning of the year, was that they had Brown, they had Tatum, who were both giving you 25 a night. And then
you got
after
Marcus
that,
Smart now.
yeah, but after that, they didn't really have a consistent score, and they had a bunch of defenders. And so now that you got Evan Fournier, I think that changes a lot for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes them a threat to some of the top teams in the East.
Yeah, they were really struggling. Like they were under 500. Like in that playoff thing, they were under 500. Now they're, I think, the 5th seed.
Uh-huh.
That's really helped since the trade deadline.
Yep, for sure. That move is really going to come up huge for them down the line, in my opinion. Who do you think was the biggest loser?
I mean, I think it's honestly the Lakers. I mean, they did nothing, and now you don't have LeBron, you don't have AD. Think if they had like Kyle Lowry, right? They could have won a few more games down the stretch. But when they didn't get a third scorer, and now you got the Nets who got Aldridge now. I mean, I just think the Lakers, they could honestly, I think, be out in the second round since they didn't make that big move, especially if LeBron and AD cannot stay healthy.
I think for me, the biggest loser of the trade deadline was the Houston Rockets. You build up Harden for all these 8 years, and then you trade him away. You bring in Oladipo, and Who else? Like, who else did they bring in with Oladipo?
They brought in a bunch of rookies, and they got so many first rounders. Let me see. And now they've won, 14 games this season? The worst in the NBA. I mean,
And then right away, you get Oladipo, and then you trade him for Kelly Olynyk. So you traded basically James Harden for Kelly Olynyk and picks. Like that's that. Oh, they traded Karis LeVert. Wait, no, they never had Karis LeVert, but they traded away James Harden, a bona fide like borderline top 5 player on planet Earth, for Kelly Olynyk, a role player.
And Westbrook too. He's been gone. Exactly. Was he traded this year?
Was it?
Was he traded this year? I forget.
He was traded this offseason, yeah, for John Wall.
Yeah. That's right. And now you got John Wall. I'm pretty sure he's hurt right now, isn't he?
He's very off and on.
Yeah.
So they've got all kinds of problems right now. I think they were probably the biggest loser to me.
I mean, they've lost 5 straight right now. And I want to say at a point they've lost 20 straight games.
Yeah, at one point they lost 20 or 21 straight games. Like that's oof. And then yeah.
They've been a playoff contender for a long time too. That's just
championship contenders. Crazy. So next, the Los Angeles Lakers didn't make any moves at the trade deadline. What are your thoughts? Do they need a third star to beat the Nets, who have three really of the top 10 players in the NBA? Do you think they need that third star to beat them?
To be honest, I did before, but now that they blew out the Nets, they blew them out by 25 points without AD and LeBron. So I honestly think they could take them to 6. I think the Lakers do not need a third star now. They do not need a third star to beat the Nets.
I hear you. I think for me, it's like the move for Kyle Lowry would have been nice, but I think by getting Kyle Lowry, they would have had to trade a lot of their depth. And I think right now, when you look at the Nets, they, as much as Blake Griffin's a big name, but they don't have too much depth. They got their starting 5. They got Blake Griffin off the bench, and after that, they struggle a little bit. The Lakers, on the other hand, they got their starting 5, and off the bench, they got Ben McLemore, Kyle Kuzma, Talen Horton Tucker, Montrezl Harrell, Markieff Morris, Marc Gasol, Alex Caruso, Wesley Matthews. They got all these dudes coming off the bench. The depth for the Lakers, to me, is that third star. I don't think they need that third star to beat the Nets. I think they're neck and neck right now.
I think that too. And to be honest, I don't think KD and Kyrie and Harden can play 40 minutes for a series. They cannot play 45 plus minutes. They are going to get tired out. So I think the Lakers have the edge.
They haven't played together too much. They played 2 games together and lost them both. I mean,
2, was that it? Oh, the 3 of them? Yeah, I think it's only
3 of them together. I think they played the Cavs twice and lost both of them.
Well, I mean, you got 3 guys that want to be the number 1. That's the problem right there. None of these guys want to share the ball.
If they can be unselfish, I don't see a reason why they can't win the championship. But to me, it's there's going to be chemistry issues for sure. I don't see. I expect serious chemistry issues there, considering that Kevin Durant's been out half the year. Harden has been in most of the games, but he's still pretty off and on. And Kyrie Irving just at times seems to not care at all. So I think there's going to be chemistry issues there. If I had to pick a team, I would honestly pick the Lakers to win the championship this year over the Nets.
Yeah, I just don't. Is there going to be home court advantages here? That's the thing I'm asking, because the Lakers aren't getting the 1 seed most likely. They're probably not going to be a 2. They might be a 3 if they push. But right now I have them at about a 4 or 5 most likely. So that's the thing. Is there going to be home court? Because if there's going to be home court, I don't know if the Lakers make it all the way.
That's true. I mean, that's the next question. How much does the absence of LeBron and Anthony Davis hurt them down the stretch? Now, I don't think they're going to be out for a little bit longer, but they should be back by playoff time. So how much do you think those 2 being out hurts them down the stretch of the playoffs?
I mean, it hurts because you don't have home field. I mean, they might have for 2 rounds? Well, no, 1 round if they are the 4 seed. So they have 1 round of home field. Then you got to go away the rest of the time. That's their problem right there. That's why it's going to hurt them. And I think it will hurt them down the stretch if they play a good team like the Jazz or the Clippers. Well, they play in the same stadium. That's not going to matter. But if they play a team like the Phoenix Suns, I mean, The Phoenix Suns, I think, could beat them.
Phoenix is balling right now too. But I think right now LA is the 5 seed. You got to like Portland. Recently, from what I've seen from Portland, they've been a pretty damn good team. Like they've been out here, recently at least. They've been putting up some they've been playing really well as far as they've been meshing a lot more. Their chemistry's been really good as of late. I think I could see them passing up the Lakers. And honestly, if I were the Lakers right now, I would try to maintain the 5 seed and move up to the 4 so I can play Denver because I do not want to play Utah, Phoenix, or the Clippers in the first round.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So what are they? 2 games behind. What are we? 55 games through the season. You got 30 left.
Well, no, there's 20 because this year is 72 games. It's not 82.
Oh, it is. I forgot about that. So you got 20 games left.
Yeah.
And we thinking of what? They're coming back in a couple weeks, maybe a week.
Couple weeks, a month, something like that.
So if it's a couple weeks, that's about what? 5 games, 5, 6 games, maybe 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could drop a lot. I think they could drop to the 6. They really could.
Right. I mean, but the way I think if you can get to the 4 seed, the way Andre Drummond's been playing, I can see them moving up the way that Andre Drummond's been playing because he's been really helping him out. I think if they can get that 4 seed, they can legitimately get out of the West. I can see them charging right through the Western Conference if they can get that 4 seed and get that momentum in the first round that comes with home court advantage.
Oh, I see that too. The reason I see that is because the Jazz, if they get the 1 seed or Phoenix, they're 2 young teams. Those are 2 young teams heading into the playoffs. Bron and AD, obviously, they just won the championship. They have experience. That's where I think helps them is experience.
Right. I just want if I'm the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Blazers, I don't want to play Utah. Those dudes, they're gonna be a really good playoff team. The way that they play together, if you watch them play, there's 7 or 8 passes before a shot. It's not even about Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell he's been pretty inconsistent this year, not super efficient, and they're still the 1 seed because they have guys like Joe Ingles, Bogdanovich, Gobert. Those dudes all step up. If I'm the Lakers, that's the last team I want to see out of those top 5.
If I'm the Jazz, to be honest, the last team I want to play is the Lakers. You want the Lakers to move up to 3, or you want the Lakers to drop to 6?
For sure.
That's what I'm thinking because I think if they played right now, if they win a 7-game series, I think the Lakers would win it just because of experience. I'm talking about fully healthy, AD, right. They're fully healthy. LeBron, they just have more experience in the playoffs. I think the Jazz, they're a very young team, right? They went to Denver last year. They blew a 3-1 lead. I'm sure that's haunting them right now.
Well, they lost. At the same time, blowing that 3-1 lead might have been the best thing that could have happened to them because this year they've looked like a different team.
That's true. They've looked flawless.
They've been ridiculous all year long. They have an 18-game win streak earlier this year?
I think it might have been 20.
Those dudes can play, man. They night in, night out, they come and they play, man. What are we? They're 6. What are they? 50? No. Yeah, 57 games into the season with only 15 losses. I mean, that's tough.
Philly. Who do you think comes out of the East? Let's wrap it up here. Who do you think comes out of the East right now?
The East? I think it's Brooklyn. Brooklyn. I don't think it's particularly close.
You don't think it's close at all?
I think I could see Philly. I could see Milwaukee taking them 6, but I don't see anybody beating them.
Here's the thing with Milwaukee. If they don't get home court, they are done. If they cannot get up to the 1 or 2 seed, they are done. Giannis cannot go on the road, and they cannot win as a team on the road.
I think there's so much pressure on Giannis this offseason or this playoffs too, because he's been kind of building up a reputation as a guy who can't really play too much in the playoffs over these last few years. There's a lot of pressure on him this year to make Milwaukee into that championship level team, to get to the finals. There's a lot of pressure on him. If he can pull that off, if he could bring Milwaukee past Brooklyn and go to the NBA Finals, to me, I think he would be unanimously, he'd be a top 2 player on planet Earth. It'd be like Kawhi a couple of years ago. with
Oh
Toronto.
yeah,
When he got him to the finals, that was like unanimously he was a top 2 player on planet Earth.
yeah. I honestly, even as a Milwaukee Bucks fan, I mean, they're 17-12 on the road, 5 games above 500. That's not horrible, but like in the playoffs, I've known like they don't win games on the road. Like it's very, very rare they can win them on the road. I mean, hell, they had a 2-0 lead 2 years ago against Kawhi. What
Yep.
they do, they lost 4 straight. Couldn't even win at home.
Right. Yep. I remember that. I remember that clearly.
Oh yeah, I do too. They look great the first 2 games at home. Then they go to Toronto, whole different team, whole different team. Couldn't win.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you.
All right, thank you for watching CTTV podcast.